We are now in our last lecture. Last na ni. So for our final lecture, we will cover the remaining groups, the remaining superfamilies of Nematoda. So that would include the filarial worms, trichurids, and the rest, because they have different collective names. And although they're not nematodes, we will also cover Acanthocephala here as the final part. So miscellaneous or the rest will also be covered. In your modules, there is also Phylum Annelida, which includes your Hiruda medicinalis, or technically the medicinal leech. So kana siya, that's a minor ectoparasite na ang leech. I'll leave that up to you to study na lang. It's a very small part. Okay. So for our taxonomic tree, this is what we have completed so far. And these are the remaining superfamilies that we're going to cover, but do not be intimidated by the word superfamily, because the superfamily, even though I call it that, there's only a few members that I will actually tackle further. So we'll start with superfamily Filaroidea, which are collectively known as the filarial worms. So these are very long and thin, white to cream colored worms. They are mainly found in body cavities as well as in blood and lymph. Then superfamily Dracunculoidea, which only has one genus of importance, which is genus Dracunculus, and that they are collectively known as your guinea worms. So in order Inoplida, this is not a big group, but we do have superfamily Trichoroidea, which are your trichina worms, whipworms, and hairworms. One thing that they have in common is that their L1 is the infected stage, L1. Then the last superfamily is Dioptophimatoidea, with only one species of importance, which is Dioptophyma renale, the giant kidney worm. It is the largest worm found in, the largest nematode found in domestic animals. Okay, so we'll start with superfamily Filaroididae. So again, Filaroididae are known as your filarial worms, which are described as long and filamentous, monofilarial. Long filamentous meaning thread-like, thin, long worms. Again, they're mainly found in body cavities, lymph, blood. Subcutaneous tissues are basically the fluids between your tissues, subcutaneous tissues, and connective tissues. They are heteroxylous, meaning they require an intermediate host. Their IH will always be a blood-sucking arthropod. So in a way, we are going to review a bit of our entom, because they are the ones that we tackle during entom are the vectors of these parasites. And it makes sense that the IH has to be a blood-sucking arthropod, because if the parasite, the worm, is found in blood, lymph, fluids in your skin, then the only way for them to get in and out is when something inoculates them. So usually, what inoculates them is the biting insect, the biting arthropod. Now, many of the members of our filarial worms are larviparous, so they give birth to L1, and the L1 is called a microfilaria. There is one member that is oviparous, so they give birth to eggs. They lay eggs, but the eggs already contain the microfilaria. Okay. But although we tend to focus a lot on the microfilaria, it's L1, the infectious stage of filarial worms is still L3. So if I ask you what larval stage is infectious to the intermediate host, you answer with the microfilaria host. This is the one that enters the intermediate host. But the life stage that infects the definitive host will be the L3. Okay? So we have three families here, family Filaridae, Cetaridae, and Onchocercidae. And we We'll start with one member in Filariidae, which is the most important, at least in small animal practice. It is a very debilitating chronic disease, parasitic disease in your dogs, which is your Dirofilaria immitis, the canine heartworm. Okay, so even though it's called canine heartworm, there has been reported cases of it being found in cats. For a long time, canine heartworm or Dirofilaria immitis is exclusive only to canines, wild and domestic, basta canines. And if they enter a different animal species as a host, most of the time, the immune system of another host will be able to kill the L3 that enters them. So it doesn't always reach adulthood. But I guess they have started to adapt in the body of cats, mainly because of the close contact between dogs and cats. So they have started to adapt into the body of cats. But it's not like in dogs, like almost 100% of the time, if a dog is infected, mahimog din siyang adult. But in cats, maybe less pa. Meaning, infection of heartworm in cats is not as prevalent or as extreme or as severe as that in dogs. Okay? Not always will it develop in a cat, but it has started to develop. Maybe one day, there will be a separate population of Dirofilaria that will establish in cats. Kasi malahit na ilang species. This one exclusive for cats, while immitis will be exclusive for dogs. And it is already recognized as a zoonotic disease, meaning they have also started to adapt inside the body of humans. But in the same way as cats, it's not as prevalent or not as common compared to that infections in dogs. But it has begun na siyang zoonotic disease. So the immitis is larviparous. As usual, the words are quite visible. They are 30 centimeters long, at least the females. The males, of course, is at least half the length and has a coiled tail. But when we diagnose it, we often see the adults in the heart na during either surgery or necropsy. We diagnose them by the detection of their L1 or the microfilaria in the bloodstream. Okay, so the intermediate hosts, these are your mosquitoes. So any mosquito that is endemic in a country that also has in many cases of the immitis can carry your Dirofilaria. So maski unsang mosquito, but the favorite mosquito of Dirofilaria immitis is Aedes. It's the one na katong black and white stripes. But any mosquitoes will do. Their predilection site is, of course, the adult's predilection site is the heart, particularly the right ventricle. But if there's so many of them, they can spill over to the pulmonary artery. If there's more of them, they can also spill over to the right atrium and vena cava. So, but their main predilection site is the right side of the heart. Now, we perform and discuss during the lab is the different techniques for microfilaria detection. So, if you notice, in almost all gym, we weren't able to see any microfilaria in our samples. And it doesn't mean na atong mga dogs na gikuhaan ninyo wala itong heartworm. It could mean that you were just able to see them at the time that you collected the blood. Because Dirofilaria immitis apparently has a peak active time where there's more microfilaria that is shed in the blood. Or we call it microfilaremia, emia meaning found in blood. So lots of high concentration of microfilaria in the bloodstream. The best time to collect blood if you want to see a heartworm microfilaria is around 1600 hours or 2000 hours. This is military time with, what is this? It's a 4 to 8 p.m. PM na siya. So that time is usually sunset and towards evening. And that actually coincides with the period of activity for your mosquitoes. Kaya itong mga mosquitoes are either crepuscular or nocturnal. And it actually means that the vector and the parasite evolve together. They evolve together. If daghan microfilaria microfilaria at the same time active ang mosquitoes, the chances of the mosquitoes getting infected with the L1 is higher kay mas daghan man ang microfilaria in the blood around that time. That's usually the case. So let's say you got blood again from those dogs that you collected for the lab. You got it around that time. Base na ako makita mas isa. But if totally negative siya, you really won't see anything. If the patient is very, very, very positive, like so many heartworms, any time of the day you might see microfilaria. But you'll see more of them during those peak hours. Okay, so we'll go to life cycle. So wala may tae diri, so good as heart. We'll start the heart. Okay. So the adults again are found in the right side of the heart, so particularly the right ventricle. What kind of blood is received in the right ventricle? Deoxygenated blood. Ang pulmonary artery is connected to the right ventricle, going towards the lungs. So everything in the right side of the heart receives deoxygenated blood from where? Asakikan. From the system, from the rest of the system. So take note of that deoxygenated blood. So all of them are here. They are larviparous, so they give birth to L1, the microfilaria. Since nasa bloodstream, every time the heart pumps, the microfilaria is shed throughout the body. So they will travel until they reach the peripheral bloodstream, which is basically the smaller capillaries in the surface of your skin, so that when a mosquito bites down, ma-ingest na niya si microfilaria. So we're now in the mosquito during blood meal. So of course they ingested it, so it stays in the gut 24 hours. When it's ready to become L2, it moves down to the Malpighian tubules, which is atong entong pa during dissection. That's the puff of yellow structures, tubes, that is actually the reproductive, not reproductive, the endocrine excretory function man ang inyong Malpighian tubules. So they'll be found there. The L2 is known as a sausage stage because they're rather stumpy. And then when they are ready to develop into L3, they go up the proboscis and the salivary glands where they develop into L3. And it makes sense that they have to be in the salivary glands or the proboscis para ready na when they bite down during blood meal in their next hose, dali na lang ma-transfer. So now it's in the skin. Bite siya diri, and siya sa skin. They may enter bloodstream or they enter the bloodstream and goes to the abdominal cavities. The fluids in your abdominal cavities, like whether it's a subcutaneous fluid, subserosal tissues, kana siya dila sa fluids in your body. Your body cavities, like the peritoneal fluid, every fluid in your body cavity is connected to your circulatory system. They enter and drain through your circulatory system. So eventually, after they start developing, they will enter again your circulatory system. Venous, kaya padulong mata ng venous blood to the right side of the heart, the vena cava, right atrium, right ventricle, becomes adult, and then cycle repeats. This entire process from infection to adult, the female adult giving birth to the microfilaria, the amount of time from infection to microfilaria shedding is 6 months. That is why it's not possible for a puppy less than 6 months to be shedding microfilaria. So you do not test a puppy, even if you suspect na kaning puppy looks like it has the clinical signs of heartworm. But if you check them for microfilaria, you don't see anything. Whether they have heartworm or not, you won't see microfilaria until they are 6 months and above. Hindi raman ang time, mo na ang pre-patent period. That's the amount of time before the first microfilaria is born. Okay. It also means that the time that, the earliest time for you to give a heartworm preventative for your dogs is at least 5 months. 5 months, let's say napaakan ang puppy, like newborn, like immediately after birth, napaakan siya ng mosquito, already has heartworm. But the heartworm takes a long time to become an adult. And in 6 months, dira pa mang-shed ang microfilaria. So you start giving a preventative at 5 months, at least starting at 5 months, so that whatever adult is in the heart will be killed while it's still alive. So much of 5 months, 5 to 6 months. Okay, so that's the life cycle. Next. Now we're going to the pathogenesis. Now, of course, this will be discussed further in your K9 med, but I wanted to discuss it now. I'll try to simplify as much as I can an explanation for the pathologies, mga pathological terms, but it's better for you to understand how serious this disease is, particularly with dog. Dinofilariasis is a chronic parasitic disease. Dugay kayo mag-manifest ang problem. And by the time man makita na niyo ang problem, it might be, in a way, yung grabe na ang infection. Okay, so these are the 5. There are more problems that can arise, but these are the 5 that is more likely going to occur. And we will start with your Cabal syndrome. I think that ginadis sa mga sa pharma, magsunod ang discuss ani yung sa Okay, sige. Now, Cabal syndrome, by the way, not all dogs that have heartworm will have Cabal syndrome. It's rather like a complication. Cabal syndrome occurs because of the presence of worms in between the heart valves. So kung mauni siya ang atuang right atrial, mauni ang right ventricle. What's in between? What's ang about ni? Right cuspid. Tulo ni ka, ano, di ba? Have you seen how a valve will close and open? Mura siya mo tightly close and then open and tightly close. Now, because the worms are here, I mentioned a while ago that if there's so many of them, or even if there's a few of them, they can spill over to the remaining other spaces. So some of them might go over here. Some of them might go over here. So when the valve closes, dili siya mo close properly. There are worms in between. What's the purpose of the heart valves? It prevents flow. So that's why when it closes, it really shuts properly para wala deoxygenated blood that goes back into the system. But because of the worms, it doesn't close properly, so there will be some backflow. That backflow is deoxygenated, di ba? So padulong na siya malik sa system, which is not good. The clinical sign, in green is clinical signs. Number 1 is heart murmur. Why heart murmur? The murmur, or the way when you listen to your heart, di ba you hear that sound is because of the closure of the valves. If the valve doesn't close, there will be backflow. You will hear a swishing sound. So, kanang swishing sound is the murmur. Because the valve doesn't close, makadungog so it might sound like love, ano siya. You can actually determine which valve is the problem based on where that swooshing sound is. Pero basically what a heart murmur sounds like. There will be a swooshing sound because that's the sound of the backflow. Now, the other clinical sign here is hemoglobinemia and hemoglobinuria. So, do you know what these mean? If it ends in emia, it means Nash blood. Urea, it means urine. Hemoglobin, so hemoglobin. Found inside red blood cells. That's found inside red blood cells. So, hemoglobinemia basically means increased concentration of hemoglobin outside the red blood cell. Hemoglobin inside your blood. Then, hemoglobinuria is an increased concentration of hemoglobin in your urine, excreted in urine. Why does that happen? When the valve does not properly close, it becomes like guillotine. Medyo hait siya. every time it doesn't close properly, it's going to chop up those red blood cells that goes through it. Mechanical trauma to the red blood cells. Igo sila, putol, burst. When they burst, they release the hemoglobin. Now, this is in normal situations, your blood, some of your blood will die, release hemoglobin. But your body, particularly your spleen and your liver, will process the hemoglobin para i-recycle. That's how it is normally. But if too many of your red blood cells are being chopped up, your body does not have time to process them all, so they accumulate in your bloodstream. Of course, it has to come out somewhere, so it is going to go to your kidney and is excreted out. Ang sobra is excreted out in urine. Hemoglobinuria gives the color of your urine a reddish brown. Hindi siya yellow. It's reddish brown. And sometimes the blood will also appear brown because of hemoglobinemia. So it's the result of mechanical trauma to the red blood cells because the valves does not properly close. So that's Cabell syndrome. Again, not all heartworm disease can cause Cabell syndrome. It can be due to many of these worms. It could be due to a few of them. Ang point niya, there are worms in between the valves. It's an eye white out Okay, so we'll go to the next. Right ventricular hypertrophy. What is hypertrophy? Increase in the cell size. Cell size. Hyperplasia is increase in cell number. The kind of numbers of cells. Hypertrophy is increase in cell size. Of course, if there's many cells in a single organ that is going through hypertrophy, the entire organ will also increase in size. Right ventricular, of course, it means only the right side of the heart will increase. It's the cardiac muscle that increases its size. Why does this happen? In a normal heart, imagine wala nang worms. In a normal heart, every time it pumps, it has a certain amount of blood that it pumps towards the lungs. Padulungan sa lungs, your heart is a tubular organ. So there are walls, muscular walls, and a lumen. Kung sa kadamong ang lumen, kadamong pump ni, that's the amount of blood that goes to the lungs. That's normal. Lungs for oxygenation. If this is occupied by worms, do you think fit pa ng blood din? Gamay ang blood. So when it pumps, only a small percentage of blood enters the lungs for oxygenation. So gamay ra ang blood, oxygenated blood that goes to your body. So your body will say, kulang lagi ang oxygenation. Maybe my heart should work harder. Sige, work siya, overtime. In order to pump harder, it has to get bigger and stronger. So, it will increase in size. The cells will increase in size. This is called a compensatory mechanism. Now, if you would think about it, kung mag-cardio mo, work overtime in your heart, but assuming you don't have worms in your heart, so it still gives the same amount of blood. It still pumps the same amount of blood. But since there's a lot of worms, gamay ra ang blood na kasha dili. This gets bigger and bigger and bigger to compensate. Para pas grabe siya, harder ang iyang pag-pump. The problem is, it's a vicious cycle because if the walls get bigger, the lumen of the heart gets smaller. It becomes narrower. So, mas less, di na nun sigo kitang dugo, plus na may worms. So, your body will still think it's not getting enough oxygenation, so ipadako pa na ang muscle. If it starts off only the right side, but if padayon pa, if the hypertrophy can spread on the left side, so instead of right ventricular hypertrophy, you will have cardiomegaly, enlarged heart. The clinical sign is arrhythmia, because when your heart is working overtime because of hypertrophy, most of the time it does not know how to pump properly na. So the heart rhythm might skip a beat or kanang ma-delay. So lap-dab, 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 ano siya. Dili na tarong ang iyahang That's right ventricular hypertrophy or cardiomegaly. Next, pulmonary hypertension leading to congestive heart failure. Hypertension means increased blood pressure. The pressure referring to the flow of blood through a vessel. And of course, pulmonary man, so it refers to the pulmonary artery. The reason for pulmonary hypertension is because since na-worms, migamay ang lumen sa pulmonary artery. So, the smaller the lumen of a tubular organ, the faster the pressure. So, naana sa inyong histo. That's why if you use a water hose, pag inyong i-squeeze ang hose para magamay ang lumen, busog, di ba? So, it's the same thing here. Now, it means na paspas kayo ng flow of blood from the heart to the lungs, but it doesn't give a lot of blood. Gamay naman ng lumen. That actually puts a lot of strain on the heart and also the lungs. It puts a lot of strain. That's why the clinical signs is coughing. And ang coughing in heartworm is more grabe yung kagahi na coughing. Kanang iro na mo, gawas gid niya, but there's no phlegm. That's coughing. This niya, they may have trouble breathing. If you walk the dog, wala pa nag-abot diri, from here to here, ihangat na. Nagano na siya, naglisod na ginhawa. Or the dog slowly wastes away. Like, even though the dog is eating well, because the body is not receiving a lot of oxygenated blood from the heart, niwang mag-weak ang mga cells. So the animal becomes weaker, the muscles become smaller, they waste away. Okay, next. Chronic liver failure. Kung ang problem na sa heart, nga naman problema sa liver. So your liver can become diseased because of a problem in your heart, particularly on the right side. So we call it the right-sided heart failure. What happens is, because remember, worms, not a lot of the oxygenated blood can go to the lungs. Traffic diri sa deoxygenated blood. So if hinay ang blood flow, some of them will go back down to the largest, and the organ that takes the pressure is going to be the liver because it's the largest abdominal organ. So kanan, kay traffic mo kayo, hinay man kayo ang venous blood flow, they will matapok sila dili sa liver. In a way that your liver will have more deoxygenated blood than oxygenated. So the cells of the liver, not all of them will receive oxygenated blood in time. So the cells will start dying. So eventually, it will lead to chronic liver failure. And clinical sign is ascites, because if damage in your liver, you will not produce proteins for your blood. So if every vessel in your body becomes leaky, it will leak out in the liver as well and spread in your abdomen. One na yung dako. Distend na din ang abdomen. If you combine it with the wasting, niwang ang patient, but the abdomen is very big. Heart to niya tapos sa heart. Last one is progressive proliferative endarteritis. Nayin ako ni. Endarteritis, endo means inside. Arter means maybe an artery, any blood vessel. Itis is inflammation. It is inflammation of the inner lining of blood vessels. Proliferative means nanakan ng cells, mainly fibrosis. So the linings of the blood vessels are becoming fibrotic. So magkabaga ang walls, gamay ang lumen. Progressive is basically chronic, so it takes time for this to develop. Now the reason for why the linings of your blood vessels become injured or become inflamed is due to two reasons. Number one, mechanical trauma by the worm. The worm itself and its larva, while it's traveling in the blood, will eventually cause damage to the walls of the blood vessels, so fibrosis. The other reason, which is the most likely reason, is the toxins and the antigens that your worm will release. because those toxins and antigens can cause inflammation to the linings of your blood vessels. So it causes them to collapse. Nibaga siya because of fibrosis, nigamay ang lumen, hantod, the lumen is totally closed. The most affected vessels will be the smaller vessels at the tips of your extremities, as well as in the small vessels of different organs. So the tips of the lung lobes, the glomerulus of the kidney. The glomerulus is made up of a tuft of capillary stone. So meaning this is the reason why your patient, if he progress ang disease, can die from multisystemic organ failure. Sabi ninyo heart pa ang problema, pwede kong maigong ang kidneys because all the glomerulus died because na-damage ang blood vessel. The lungs can become ischemic. Ischemia means local anemia. The organs, some tissues in your area, in your organs will not receive blood. And na-damage yun ng blood vessels. And that's not reversible. It's an irreversible damage. The brain can also become ischemic. Magka-problem sa dahil sa cognitive functions ang inyong. So, multi-systemic organ failure. You have the heart, you have the lungs will be affected, you have the kidney, you have the liver. Pwede mamatay din. Okay. Kuha. This is a summary again of clinical signs. So, mild cases, coughing lang. Cough lang ang problema, which is not specific enough. So usually, di na natin mo mabantayan kaya nakukulang ang pasyente, nakukulang siya. You don't know na, maybe heartworm to. Di na natin mo mabantayan if there's abnormal lung sounds, abnormal heart sounds, exercise intolerance. Dira na ninyo ipa-check up yun. And of course, Cowell syndrome again is a separate clinical sign because not all will have Cowell syndrome. Relationship of diarrhea and Wolbachia. Ano po si Wolbachia? We discussed this during Entom na diapon siya dito sa ato ang helminths. Now, if for those of Entom, if you remember Wolbachia is present in 50% of arthropods in the world, except the mosquito. If the mosquito is given Wolbachia, dili sila ka-carry of viruses. Pero kanisya, the Wolbachia is inside the worm. So, Wolbachia pipientis is an endosymbiote, so they are helpful to your heartworm. They help your heartworm mature, they help in reproduction, and they help in the pathogenicity or infectivity of your heartworm. Helpful siya. Now, if you give treatment to a dog for heartworm, mamatay ang worms, it's still a problem. Sabi ninyo, patay lang ninyo ang worms, okay na, it's still a problem. Because when the worm dies, it releases the bacteria into the body of the dog. And the bacteria will actually will also cause endarteritis. So madami gyapon ang blood vessels. Before this was discovered, this is the reason why it was so difficult to treat heartworm disease in dogs. Kaya pwede yung namatay ang patient even if you are treating it. This is now the reason why doxycycline has now been introduced in the treatment protocol. Wala na sa una. Because doxycycline will kill the Wolbachia in living and dead worms. Sa living worms, if wala na yung Wolbachia, then they cannot mature, they cannot reproduce, they cannot be infected. If namatay na ang worms, ma-release si Wolbachia, the Wolbachia will not do as much damage to the dog's blood vessels. So, kailangan na doxycycline sa treatment. Okay, kahanag gamit yung doxycycline. This is heartworm. You can really see the heart. This is the right side of the heart. Ang normal heart ay medyo pointed, diba? Medyo na siya apex man, so pointed. So this is already right ventricular hypertrophy. It's right side siya na sa worms inside. Yeah. This is cardiomegaly. So, nag-spread na ang hypertrophy to the other cardiac muscles. the other side of the heart. So it's now a globose heart. But it doesn't mean na yung worms sa left side ha. Right side are the worms. Murag ni spread lang ang hypertrophy to the other side of the heart. And this is an X-ray. So this is normal, normal heart. You have a globose heart. That's cardiomegaly. So in radiology, ang pagbasa sa normal heart daw is 3 intercostal space. A normal heart tends to fit in 1, morning ribs. 1, 2, 3. Ano? 1, 2, 3, 4, then puro pa ribs. Pag manubra, this is another view. So, retrodorsal. Paano i-picture? So, right side, left side, you can see the left side is always the larger, the more occupied na side sa heart, di ba? In the chest. And I've seen worse. I've seen in actual patients who's worse than mura na din. Ang heart, mura na bola. If you also notice in this picture, the lungs is also quite ready of bake. Puti kayo. Nanasad inflammation sa ischemia in the heart. Okay. So for Campbell syndrome, remember Campbell syndrome is because the worms is in between the valves. So in order to get rid of it, pwede man mamatayin yung dog. Maskin kamay ra ang worms, basta Campbell syndrome, pwede siya mamatay. You have to manually remove the worms from the valve. So what you do, the surgical procedure is basically like this. Left side of the dog, expose the left jugular. Temporarily clamp, dili ka tong clamp na murag ba ipit ang jugular, pero kanang naa siya gamay nga space para nayang blood flow. Temporarily clamp it. Anyway, it's a vein, so hinayra ang blood flow ana. Make a small incision, small enough to fit a urinary catheter. A human urinary catheter. The catheter, you're going to tie sutures at the tip so that it would look like kanang bristle brush na panglimpyo ninyo sa kanang mga straw or kanang mga gagmay sa kanang baka itong panglimpyo ninyo sa test tube na bristle brush. You're going to tie sutures at the tip. So wala na siyang brush. We're going to insert that tube into that incision towards the direction of the heart. You would know you are in the heart kay pag-touch niyo sa tube, ma-feel niyo mag-beat niya. Sunod niyo mo, twist. The worms will be caught up in the fibers of the sutures. And you pull. So I'll show you a video. Test it. Fishing. So, kita mo na na-eye results. Suture na siya. Tahi-tahi. Limpyo man eh. Sterile catheter, sterile sutures. So, sulod, clamp sa temporary para dili kayo interfere ang blood. So, sulod. Then, ready. I have assistant. Assist ko, wala ko na. Dili ko pa. Sure na. Okay, so, guys, the purpose of this is just to remove the worms that are interfering in valve closure. Your goal is not to remove everything. Kung kaya rin mo ma-remove na nandiyan, gamay lang, why not? But some of them might be in deeper parts sa inyong sa ventricle. Alang-alang itusok na niyo hanggang sa end of the ventricle. So the purpose ng that is to remove those that are in the vena cava and the valve. The rest, after mahuman na, normal na ang closure sa valve, you can always treat it with adulticidal na medication na yan. Ang sobra, imo lang yan. Pero kani, this is just to remove those that are in the valve. So there are now new technologies for this, like naanay actual instrument na dili na man DIY man eh. DIY hindi siya. Pero naanay actual instrument wherein there's an actual brush that you can insert na dili na kailangan i-expose ang jugular like this. I-stabilize na lang siya sa skin o niya imo na lang og gamay na dako siya mo siya dako na injection na kanula. I-insert na lang sa jugular din, i-insert na lang. So, dili na siya kailangan i-expose, like, i-open ang skin, anahon pa. So, imo na lang itusok ang jugular din, walang straw na lang siya nag-isulot. Naano na ang bagong technology ka lang. Pero, this is DIY. DIY na natin din in Philippines. Okay. So, that's how you remember. Puting kaayo. That's solid organ. If normally dili siya na nakaputi, sa mo siya kaputi, that's inflammation. Diversion. Okay, let's continue. Okay, this is a dog with heartworm. Nanay na scientist, so nanay chronic liver failure. Then you can see iwang pagkain siya very thin. So that's the wasting. And then thriftiness plus ascites, ako na kaya. By the way, in terms of prevalence study, epidemiological, dogs that are older and larger tends to be the ones that is more likely infected. Why? How come the larger dogs are more likely infected? Because dako siya body mass. Dako siya body, more likely to attract your mosquitoes. The smaller dog, although it will attract mosquitoes, kay mas dali kung ilog na dako mahigda. Okay. Older dogs as well because it takes time for gynofilaria to develop. So older dogs mas makakita. Okay, how do we diagnose? Again, it's always a combination of detection of clinical signs, which is cardiac and respiratory signs. History, which is the main history is wala kaayo prevention. Lack of preventatives or presence of mosquitoes in the area. Remember, Aedes is also the mosquito for dengue. So if daghan class of dengue, it also means daghan mosquitoes. And although there is no study done yet, manotice lang ang pattern na during summer is dengue season. It's also usually the time na pwede magka-infect ang mga dogs. Okay, so for microfilaria detection, that is for diagnostic test. We already did that in the lab. So we have the modified NOTS, which is that single drop, hematocrit method or the Buffy-Colt method, and the NOTS method. So we've already done that. Among the NOTS method is the more sensitive, meaning you can actually identify the microfilaria species. Because the others, they will only tell you na naay microfilaria. It will tell you that there is microfilaria, but there are actually 3 common microfilaria that you can find in a dog. So it will not tell you if it is heartworm or the 2 non-pathogenic filaria orders. Okay, but NOTS method, it will actually tell you because stain man na. Heartworm ELISA test kit, which is what most clinics will have the test kit, if they can afford the antigen. Kaya gawa man ng antigen or antibody test kits, mas maratong antigen. They will tell you na naay adults. They might tell you na naay adults, but they don't always tell you that naay microfilaria. Because it is possible that even if you did not see microfilaria, it doesn't mean na walay heartworm. Because it's possible when na puros babae or puros lalaki ang nasa heart. So, ending, it will not, without a partner, it cannot produce microfilaria. But it still means that the animal has heartworm. So, pwede mo. It's always a combination of test kit and microfilaria. Pero ako mag-microfilaria, mag-check na ako for microfilaria because if I see microfilaria, then there are adults. Okay. So, I know wala pa tayo nakitaan, so I will show you videos of what it would actually look like if positive to katong mga test. So again, this is the Buffy-Colt method. You already know how to do this during the lab. This is what it would look like positive. So this is the red, itong RBC column, Buffy-Colt, right above the Buffy-Colt. Right above the Buffy-Colt na siya. Na siya, graduate sa Buffy-Colt area kay bukat man siya, so they will see. I told you guys, umulihok din siya. Swimming siya. Now again, if you find this, you can break this, you can break the capulet right at the Buffy-Colt and then transfer it in a glass side so that you can stain it again. Pwede na siya. Wala matay nakitaan sa ato. Next, Knott's method. This is the sensitive test, so it's the wherein you mix blood and 2% formalin. So this is what it would look like without stain, and this is what it looks like with stain. So you would see structures. And how do we identify Dinofilaria immitis? So there's actually two species of Dinofilaria that's common in dogs. We have D. immitis and D. repens. D. repens is actually non-pathogenic or mildly pathogenic siya. They are mainly found in the subcutaneous fluid of the skin. So, since both of them are Dinofilaria, they have similar appearance to their Microfilaria, but the only difference is the tail. So, both of their Microfilaria is as thick as RBC. So, kung naay mo ni siya, red blood cell diri, ang kabaga sa red blood cell is same na kabaga sa width of the body. It's the same for both Dinofilaria. But immitis will have a straight or wavy tail. Repens will have a hook tail. For Digitalonema, this is absolutely non-pathogenic. Yun siya problema. This is found in subcutaneous tissues as well. It is thinner than a Dinofilaria. So it is around, the width of the body is only half of that of a red blood cell. So mas ningwang siya. Okay. So, comparison. So if you look, this is a red blood cell. Ang iyang kabaga kay around half lang. So in modified Knott's, this is what it would look like if you saw a Microfilaria. Wala man tayo nakita. So mulihok siya. Muna, you have to look at the slide and look for something unique. Now, this is not sensitive. It will not tell you if it is Dinofilaria or Digitalonema. So, but there is a technique. If it swims lang in the same spot, then it's Dinofilaria, but it will not tell you kung immitis or repens. It will just tell you na Dinofilaria. But if it likes to swim across the field, kana kailangan yun mo habulon siya, then that's Digitalonema, the non-pathogenic. So that's at least, there's a trick even if walay stain. If you put stain, mamatay rin siya. This is what clinics would usually do. Okay, dali raman yun. Okay, keys to heartworm treatment based on the American Heartworm Society. So, the goal of any heartworm treatment is to, number one, improve clinical signs or the clinical condition. Number two is to eliminate all life stages. That includes the larva, L1 and L3 inside the body, and the adults. So, to improve clinical conditions, kasabot lang ana is, remember, your patients will have respiratory and cardiac problems. So, it doesn't make sense na while nag-treat mo sa inyong pasyente, inyo na i-exercise. Na-strain na ang heart, samot. So, it must be to slowly improve their clinical conditions. Now, the drug of choice to actually kill and disintegrate the worms is melarsomin. Melarsomin. And this drug, although very effective, mahal kayo siya and very difficult to administer. When I say mahal, ang yaning kabotelya is 10,000 pesos. When I was a clinician, I don't know karon kay inflation. When I was a clinician, clinician, my first junior clinician po, my first case was a case of heartworm in an 11-year-old golden retriever. Naana siya ascites, naana siya grabe na po. Nipalit ni melarsomin. Pagpalit sa melarsomin, namatay ang patient. Wala na hatag. Severe case na to. Ginecropsy na. Ako nag-necropsy ato na case man ako, sa ako mag-necropsy. So, yes, daghan kayo siya heartburn, then nag-cardiomegaly na siya. First case, kina. Next start is a preventative. 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 Yes, nanay staging ang heart. Melarsomin is kana ng pagdaghan na kaayo because if the thing is, you can actually give macrocytic lactones, which is ivermectin, macrocytic lactones. The problem is, ivermectin does not disintegrate the worm. It just kills it. So the time you give melarsomin is katunang grading na daghan na kaayo siya sa heart. Because if you just give ivermectin, they're just gonna die and clump up and cause a stroke. Okay, muab to man ang clump up worm somewhere in a blood vessel and wala na, madeds din ang patient. Pero melarsomin, they disintegrate them, so at least you only give macrocytic lactones only if gamay na ang amount para at least kung gamay na, they can just flow out and be killed by the immune system na yun. But another reason why you also don't give melarsomin is okay siya ihatag deep IM in between the L3 and L5 vertebrae. And I have a friend na iyahang daksyan gi deep IM for melarsomin. After giving it, di nakalakaw. Dili man siya sa spine inject, dili siya sa muscle right next to it. The problem is, IM is painful, di ba? Sakit kina siya. The swelling pinched the nerve on the spine, so dili siya kalakaw. For I think almost a month, di siya kawalk. Nag-therapy na lang. The dog only started walking katong nag-subside ang swelling. So, maupod na ang risk niya. Hindi ninyo ma-explain na sa client, masyap na siya kung hindi nakalakaw ang hero. Kailangan i-explain ninyo there's a possibility that the swelling can cause them to have difficulty walking. It will eventually come back. Okay. So, in terms of treatment, if dili pa kinahanglan og melarsomin, you can give a combination of doxycycline, macrocytic lactones, and I think nagsugod na sa at least sa update is that you can start adding levamisole and pyrantel. Because even though pang gastrointestinal parasites, they do have an effect on the worm because they're still nematodes. So doxycycline must always be given because it can stop reproduction of the worm and it also prevents further pathogenicity due to dead worms. But if Campbell syndrome, what we choose? Surgical extraction. Now, patas sa heartworm, taas-taas ang topic kami, guys. For prevention, annual screening starting 5 months, 5 to 6 months old. Giving, if walay heartworm, if walay heartworm and you're just giving preventatives, macrocytic lactones, a certain dose of ivermectin given monthly. So, katong mga heart guard, ivermectin plus pyrantel, next guard spectra, na siya, maka-work na siya for heartworm as well. All of those brands, the new ones, they all work. Even at the spot-on advocate for dogs, they do have moxidectin, which is a macrocytic lactone, so also work na siya. Basta monthly, the moment there is a high chance of infection to occur if you skip a month. Okay. Skip kag month sa treatment, pero mosquitoes are all year round month. So, but number one yun is vector control. None of this would happen if wala si mosquito. Okay. Yes. Nito di siya together. Kaya nga naman, ang mga ulbakya. Number 1. Limot ng kakanaan. By the way, wala ko yung emoji game pero kaya nakalimot. Forgot about it. Last naman sa nato. Okay. Number 1. This is a diagnostic procedure that is used to isolate and detect and collect lungworm larvae from fecal samples. Lungworm larvae. Grading, if katong sa heartworm grading, ma-access na ninyo in the American Heartworm Society website. Always check it and update na sila every year. American Heartworm Society. Sila, na dito ang mga different grading for heartworms. Wala na kung i-appeal din kay pang medicine na maganda. Okay, 8, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, up. 1, 2, 3, 4, as a 4, 4, 5, 10, and 9, 8, 7, 6, everybody got it correct, it's Bayerman. Bayerman method, Bayerman technique. Si Coffee drip technique. Okay, happy na ko na by the word. Everyone got it correct. By the way, if dealing ka for groups that don't win an InStar because of the evaluation, kagana ko mag 3% dapat solution. Evaluation ba? Ano na sa teacher's evaluation? Nakapunta mo ko 90% sa population na nag-comment. So, kagana ko, for those na wala nakadaog sa InStar, instead of 5%, nagya ko mag 3, which is quite tabag yaman ko. Okay, no? Let's continue with the other filarial worms. Pero their main significance is in humans man. As in humans siya. So we have Brugia malayi and Bushelaria bancrofti. Both of them causes elephantiasis. Both of them carried by mosquitoes. Kasi endemic na mosquito. We do have Brugia malayi cases in the Philippines, at least in humans. Pero basta Asian area. Bushelaria is more in Africa and Middle East and Mid-Asia area. So they cause elephantiasis because their redirection site of the filarial worm is in the lymph nodes. So they block the lymph nodes, meaning they block drainage of fluid in tissues, causing swelling. It's called elephantiasis because the leg will swell up as if it looks like an elephant's leg. Loa-loa literally means eye-eye. Loa is eye in Africa. Loa, eye. It is found in subcutaneous tissues. So if it's found in subcutaneous tissues, tawag nga na sa disease Calabar swelling. If it's found in the eye, it's ocular loiasis. And it's carried by a tabanid known as rhinoceros. Katong na ay black bat. So this is elephantiasis caused by Brugia or Bushelaria. The adults accumulate in large areas of the body with many lymph nodes. So kaning naa diri, dagan lymph nodes diri sa muna. Legs, diri dapit. In boys, in guys, there's many lymph nodes in your groin area, so they can also cause swelling of the testicle, elephantiasis of the testicle. In girls, dagan lymph nodes sa breast area, they can cause elephantiasis in the breast area. Kasi mahitabo. Well, if you get rid of the worms, then magpadayon ng drainage. But if it's been there for a long time, na-stretch na ang skin, so more likely, kanang compression. I-compress siya para ang fluids mo gamay, pero ang skin, loose skin na siya.
Madala na surgery ito.
Oh, kanang i-remove lang yung loose skin. This is calabar swelling and lomiasis. So you can see na swollen ang isa pa. A hand, then a worm. There's an actual worm at the end. Parafilaria, kani kayo. Pang ano gindi siya? Alin sa hayop. This is a filaria worm that is oviparous. So they give birth to, they lay eggs. The eggs contain the microfilaria. The shell is rather thin. So this is found in nodules in the subcutaneous tissue of the skin. So in cattle or in horses, they will have bumps on their skin. The IH will be mucidae flies. And when they develop in the skin, ang adults na nila, they produce the eggs, the nodule will burst, and of course blood and the eggs will come out. That will attract your fly. Landing sila, inom sila sa dugo, makaon nila. Of course, if they go to another animal, if there are wounds that they will be attracted to, they're at the pasa. Hematopia is a biter, so if they bite, ma-transfer na din siya directly sa skin. So this is what it will look like. There will be drainage tracts that will attract your flies. Elias, okay, siya pronounce it. Eliophora na siya. Eliophora. This is the ruminant heartworm or the arterial worm of ruminants. It's a heartworm, but it's actually found in the aorta. Okay. And although the adults are in the aorta, they don't always cause problem unless worm burden is high. Gara sila ng problema if nagkan na because they block the artery. The problem is their microfilaria. So your aorta is the blood vessel that delivers oxygenated blood to the rest of the body. So your aorta branches off into the carotid artery, one going up and another going down. Most of the time, the microfilaria likes to travel up. Na, padulong siya sa head. So the microfilaria will block smaller capillaries in the skin of the head, the eyes. So ending noon, mamatay ang skin dili. So they cause sore head. So this is necrosis of the head. Kaya dili naman niya ka-receive of oxygen. They cause blindness because they also block the blood vessels to the eyes. Mamatay ang eye. IH, tabanids. Tabanid flies are the IH. Biters. Setaria, the abdominal worm of cattle. Kanisha, I see this during necropsy or meat inspection. Kaya mag-open ninyo, na siya nag-swimming dito sa peritoneal fluid. Or the swimming on the surface of the peritoneum. Na siya. So, not a problem. The adults are not a problem. Problem is when they're not a problem in their hose, which is usually cattle. The problem is if they end up in another hose, a normal hose, like maybe a horse. Dungan man ang horse with cattle in a farm. When a mosquito carrying it bites a horse, transfers siya sa horse, instead of going to the peritoneal fluid, they will go to the CNS and the eye. So it will look like this. Setaria digitata. This is the non-pathogenic filarial worm of dogs. So, Dipetalonema reconditum, formerly Acanthocylonema. Karon Dipetalonema na tao. Carried by physitics in the subcutaneous tissue as well as other body cavities and kidneys, pero not a problem. Its only significance is that you have to tell it apart from Dirofilaria incubus.
Is it worm-burden?
Ha? Dili rapot. It's not pathogenic. It's also quite rare. Rare siya. Onchocerca, if you remember this in your entom, it is either carried by Culicoides, your biting midges, or Simulium, your black fly. And if the hosts are animals like Gibsona and Cervicalis, then the most they can do is just cause nodule formation. Their favorite predilection site is any connective tissue, mga ligaments. So, the ligamentum ng K, kanang and brisket and hind legs. So, actually, ang Achilles tendon Dila sila ganahan. They cause nodule formation there. But in humans, Onchocerca volvulus, which is in the eye, it causes a disease known as river blindness. Nga na river blindness? Because ang IH makitaan sa river. Because it's simulium and they breathe in running water. So river blindness means people that live nearby flowing water are the ones that are more likely affected. We don't have all Onchocerca volvulus here. This is an African parasite. So this is found in the skin. This is the one that's in the eye. Onchocercosis river blindness. Nainangutan na sa lain nga section, mag-recover pa ang vision ani. It depends on the extent of injury. Kaya pag grabe na ang damage sa eye and the blood vessels as well as the important structures that are for sight, hindi na. African. Ha? Severe na ni ocular, cloudiness na. Okay, superfamily Dracunculidae. Parasites of the subcutaneous tissues of man and carnivores. Rudimentary, it has a vestigial mouth. Larviparous na siya. Larviparous. So the females give birth to larva, L1. And Dracunculus is the only genus of importance, particularly Dracunculus medinensis, the guinea worm. Africa, okay, so the guinea worm is the longest common nematode that can infect both humans and animals. The longest. Lapas pa o gano. Lapas, I think almost a meter or lapas a meter ang female. But nipis kayo na siya. Nipis. And they are IHR copepods. They can be found in any mammal that can accidentally drink a copepod. So of course, when these animals are in water, including us, inom sila sa kanang fresh water, inom nilang copepods, they carry it, then it's going to, of course, travel the bloodstream of the host and end up in the skin, subcutaneous nodules. Their favorite part is to be in extremities. Nano sa extremities? Because they need to have contact with water. And if nasa sa imong leg, shape of blister, and you go inside and you wade in water, mag-swimming mo, that blister containing the female as well as its larva will burst in contact with water. So if mabuto siya, ma-release ang iyang larva, and the larva will be eaten by the copepod. So it needs to be in water. Now, because it's so long and it's in your skin, you have to extract it manually, a female. So you get a stick, a rod, you tie one end, and then you slowly twist. Maputol siya muna, slowly mo twist. Muna, di na mo basa-basa ibira. Ano lang, tuyo-tuyo will look like this. Inay lang. Because if naay mabilin, that can cause an infection with sepsis. Kung mabilin ang parts niya. And the name is Dracunculus medinensis because it's one of the first large parasites that were discovered for a long time. And it is the reason why we have a rod and a snake as a symbol of medicine. Which is not a snake at all. It's a worm. So the next time matanaw mo sa symbols of medicine sa vetmed, V, nairod, naihalas, di nahalas. That is Dracunculus medinensis. Ana na siya. This can occur in the dog. Nakit siya sa legs. Anywhere, any part of the body that comes in contact with water. Kani siya risky. Kaya pag magbira kasi mapukul, gusto ko balik sa skin. Number 2. Number 2. This was found in a blood sample of a dog where it's the predilection site of the adults. Kung kailangan mo mag-measure sa RBC for scale, doon lang mo din. Ako na lang measure. receive. Dili. Alright, na lang. Redirection site na kung bakit UPS. Redirection site. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, up. Group 1, 2, 3. As is 4. 4. 5, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Same silang answer na lang. Sure na name mo?
Yes.
Unsay siya dahil familiar tipitalo niya. Ano ba? Immediately sir repent. Ano ba? The answer here is subsidization. Pero if you thought it was dipitalonema, correct gyapon sa subcutaneous tissue. Correct gyapon siya. Pero dipitalonema can also occur in the kidneys man. Basta subcutaneous tissue. Okay. Number 3. Diretso siya. Number 3. This was found through an impression smear of a bleeding skin nodule on a horse. What is the scientific name? Scientific name, good. Okay. The answer is, naka-underline naman tanan na? Yes. Parafilaria multipapillosa. Basta horse, multipapillosa. Ang katong naa sa cattle, sa gabon ko. Okay. Next. So everyone got it correct? Superfamily Trichuroidea. The main characteristic that they share here is the trichuroid esophagus, the long but single layer of cell niya esophagus. And they can either be monoxenous or heteroxenous, larviparous or oviparous, depending on species. But for all of them, L1 is infective. So we have 3 families: Trichinellidae, Trichulidae, and Capillaridae. And we'll start with Trichinellidae with only Trichinella spiralis. So you met this during sa lab. The one that is found encysted in muscles. That is actually the L1. So the infection stage. The adult is found in the small intestine, because the L1 is found in skeletal muscles. And this is a parasite wherein the worm can the larva and the adult can be found in a single host, which is usually a pig, swine. But because pigs are what we eat, pwede matakda ng tao because the mode of infection is ingestion of the L1 in meat or in the muscles. But any carnivore, any animal that would consume the meat of a pig or an infected animal can become infected as well. So it has been seen in zoo animals, carnivorous zoo animals, kaya ka nang ginapakaon o ka ng pork, raw pork, kunya para makabarato ang zoo, malit sila from questionable sources. So mao na nadayon na sila trichinella. Now, because the adults in the small intestine are actually non-pathogenic, they don't cause problems. This is pathogenic, and the clinical signs is chronic and would be similar to other parasites that are found in the muscles like protocysarcosis, and of course sa tapeworms, mga cysticercus. So they might do inflammation of the muscles, they will do atrophy. This parasite is inside the myocyte. They turn the myocyte into a nurse cell. The nurse cell does not have contractile abilities anymore. Hindi na siya contract. But it still gets the benefit of getting oxygen and nutrients from the bloodstream. So this is the life cycle. So if you ingest the L1 in the meat of an infected animal, usually pigs, it's ingested by the host. The muscle, the meat is digested, releasing the L1. It develops into L5 inside the small intestine. The adult female, when mated, namatay si male, the adult will burrow itself in the mucosa, give birth, a larviparus. The larva is already in the walls of the intestine. They then travel the bloodstream until they reach muscles and cysts. Cycle repeats. Okay. By the way, your pigs, this can spread in populations of swine, especially young wild, because your pigs tend to cannibalize man. So, there are muna ang usual reason why they can spread in pig populations. So, this is how you, in the meat inspections, is how you check for like trichinoworms in muscles. But unlike your sarcocystis and your cysticercus sa kanang sa taenya, dili siya manifest kanang visibly ba? Like unlike sa inyong sarcocystis, cysticercus mo mag-form siya kanang yellow or white na bumps, kanang di makitaan. They might cause an area of the muscle like kanang murag pale spot, pero it's not always visible. They don't make a bump. So what you would do is that you would get some small chops, small cuts of the muscle, the meat, in different areas of the body, particularly the limbs or areas na mga baga kayo ang muscle ba. Dira mo makuha. Then you use a trichinoscope, but if you don't have a trichinoscope, an ordinary microscope do. You get two glass slides, you squish the muscle in between, clamp both ends, check it under the microscope. There's no stain, but it's easy to tell na naka siya trichinella because it's spiral. While every muscle will have striations na isa ka direction lang, siya na spiral siya. So if you see this is unstained na, then positive siya for trichinella. But you will have to get many samples of tissues. This is Trichuris, genus Trichuris, the Kacha species, but it's all specific. So Trichuris vulpis will be for canines, Trichuris trichuria for humans, Trichuris ovis for small ruminants, Trichuris suis for pigs. In dogs, litigation will cause a problem. The most it can do is diarrhea, mucoid diarrhea. I've seen patients with Trichuris vulpis, they are bright, alert, responsive, mag-diarrhea lang. Basa-basa lang nilang kain. This is, Trichuris is known as the whipworm because half of the body is thin and the other half is thick. It looks like a whip. The thin part is actually the anterior end. So it contains the very long esophagus. The thick part is the posterior end containing the organs. Okay, so they are mainly found in the large intestine, cecum, colon. So the life cycle, this is the egg. We've seen this during the lab. It is barrel shape, oval, brown, golden brown, very prominent bioperculums, and embryonated when embryonated when laid. So this is shed in feces. The L1 is infectious stage. So L1 develops inside the egg. This does not hatch. Okay, if ma-hatch niya, dili magdugay si L1 in the environment. So they remain in the egg, and the egg can survive for as long as there is moisture. Usually, if I ask pet owners a reason how their dog got trichuris, I would ask them if they ever walk their dog outside after the rain. Kanang hilig ang ero ng bilap-bilap, maskin asa kapasa. So that's usually how they would get it. So once ingested, it hatches in the small intestine, enters mucosal glands, travels down to the colon, stays there in the colon. The thin whip end will enter the mucosa, and the thicker end stays outside the body. Outside the mucosa, sorry. So it would look like this. Ang whip niya is inside the mucosa. So if you see this, you have to pull it out slowly para ma-intact ang anterior half. Okay, this one is capillaria. You also saw this in the lab. It is the one where in nasa slide that has red stain of fecal matter. So it is related to trichuris because they are also whip-like, but the transition between thin and thicker end is gradual. Kita ninyo na musugod siya nipis and then slowly become thicker. Now, capillaria can either be monopsinous or heterocynous. If they have a intermediate pose, it is usually earthworm. But now, na-update. So, family Capillariidae is now divided into 4 genus. Dili ra Capillaria. In your SAS, Capillaria ra sila tanan. There is now a new name for others. So, it's now divided into 4 genus. It's Piersonema, Eucoleus, and Calodium. Upat kaya sila. Capillaria is still being used, but it is now confined. Capillaria is confined to those that are in the GIT. So either large or small intestine, nila have predilection site. Piersonema is found in the urinary tract. There's only 2 species of this. Eucoleus is in the respiratory tract, and Calodium is in the liver. Pierson, they're relatively new. I think ang pinakauna na nag-split is Piersonema, and then the others are recent, like 2019. Sila na-change. Wala naman na-update. But they still call the species for Eucoleus and Calodium. Sometimes they'll still call it as Capillaria. So synonymous with kani, or monogity ang pamungan Piersonema na gano'n. Okay, we will start with an example of Capillaria. So there's many members of Capillaria in your SAS. Nakatable siya. Everyone that is found in the GIT is Capillaria. Okay. So this one is heterocynous, so this requires an earthworm pose. I think the only Capillaria na dili earthworm is si Capillaria philippinensis. Pa-check daw. Sa iyang IH, freshwater fish. Napuli siya sa Philippines, kay Philipinensis man. So, iyang host kay humans. DH are humans. Fishes are the mode of beings. The rest kay earthworms though. Kinsa si? Cadenata. Minor. Well, irrelevant for me, minor. Okay, so the egg looks like a trichuris egg, but a bit more transparent. Dili siya as brown. Bipolar, but the plugs is slightly asymmetrical. And the shell might have striations and lines. The plugs are also not as protruding. It's also a lot more barrel shape. There is a capillaria for both birds and mammals, and reptiles, pero there's no trichuris in birds. Okay. Again, L1 is still their infectious stage, so they develop L1 inside the egg, or if may just diretso sa earthworm IH, where it will develop inside the earthworm. Then if the earthworm is eaten, it goes and develops into adult in the duodenum and ileum. Oh, na siya. That's Capillaria. That's one example of Capillaria. This is the one in the blood, in the kidney. No, actually, the kidney. The predilection site is the bladder. The urinary bladder is the predilection site. Makitaan lang siya usahay sa kita. We have 2 species, Piersonema plica for dogs, Piersonema feliscati for cats. Graphic original sa ngalan. Feliscati. Sure na cats yun ang iyagos. So, the adults are found here in the bladder. They're in the mucosa of the bladder. So when they lay eggs, the eggs will be shed in urine. So if you see a bipolar plugged eggs in urine, then automatic kay Hirsuneman cancer. So again, they develop into L1 inside, ingested by an earthworm. Earthworm is ingested by a dog and cat, and then hatches in small intestine, enters the wall, enters bloodstream, goes to kidney, goes down to ureter, bladder, and then cycle reverse. For the lungs, Eucoleus or Capillaria aerophile. So this is the only time you would see Capillaria eggs in the sputum of a dog. So it's either sputum or feces, same thing, ingested, L1, small intestine, enters wall, enters circulation, goes to the lungs, enters bronchi, respiratory tract, becomes adult, produces eggs, cycle repeats. For Calodium or Capillaria hepatica, monocinus siya. And the worm itself is found in the liver, not in the bile ducts. They are found in the parenchyma. Which means if they produce eggs, the eggs will be stuck in the tissues of the liver. There is no way for the eggs to exit the body. It will remain infective in the liver. It will just stay there until something eats the liver. So the main host of Calodium are rodents, and rodents are well known for cannibalizing. So if makaon siya by another rodent, makaon ng liver, this rodent becomes infected. This is the new pH. If the mode of infection is through cannibalism, you call the cannibal an intercalary host. It's still a DH. Moral ang term if it's due to cannibalism. So katong si Trichinella spiralis, if the pig, infected pig is eaten by another pig, it's an intercalary host because cannibalism na. But if predation, of course, this is the new DH na. Usually, if it's predation, dead end na niya siya host unless something eats the cat. I have read an article of Calodium hepatica in humans. Meaning a human ate a rat. Probably. Siomai? Siomai? Siya. Or nakakaon siya cat. I don't know. Basta they ate something with Calodium hepatica. Siomai, siopaw, katisa. Wait lang. Ay? Next superfamily, Dioptophimatoidea. Taas kayo yung family, pero this is the only member. Dioptophima-renale. Sa iyang pangalan pa lang, renale, it's in the kidney. Now, kani siya, nalagay siya sa kidney. Pre-dialysis is actually the kidney, not the ureter, not the bladder, not the perirenal fat. Kidney na kidney siya. And this is the largest and heaviest nematode found in domestic animals. Katong ganina si Raccoon Cruz, the longest. Pero di siya bugat. Kani siya, taas, bugat. So it looks like this. The giant kidney worm. 1 meter. 1 meter ang female. Taas ang female. Mas gamay ang male. Hindi ka taas ang female. And they occupy the kidney. Remember, an organ is made up of parenchyma and capsule. They will eat the parenchyma, leave behind the capsule. So if you do surgery on a carnivore, because any carnivore can become infected by eating an earthworm IH. Kita niyo yung kidney. Kidney looks deformed. You remove niyo, you open niyo. Tadan! It's not a kidney anymore. It's a sack of worms. And there can be more than one inside. It has been reported in man. Man. So a life cycle, again, Okay, naman siya sa kidney, the eggs are shed in urine. So this is the egg, highly pitted, 2 operculum. They come out in chains in the urine, ingested by an earthworm. Wala gibutan kung sa yung larval stage, but I guess as a nematode, it will definitely be L3 as infectious. So it has a paratonyphos in either way. It is ingested, it hatches in the small intestine, penetrates the intestinal wall, travels the peritoneal cavity, goes to the kidney, settles down. Produces eggs, has in urine. Cycle repeats. This is what the kidney looks like now. It's just a sack of worms. And animal yun, we have 2 kidneys. Our dogs and any carnivore will have 2 kidneys. If isa ka kidney, you will never know na may problem. Because an animal can survive with just 1 kidney. As long as isa ka kidney ang affected. If dua, you will only see clinical signs if late na. For as long as may remaining functional kidney tissues and nephrons, normal ka. Bahala ka, dala-dala siya worm. You will know that there's a problem when the patient stops urinating. Anuria na siya, no more urine production. Eh, wala na may nabiling yung functional kidney tissue. Wala na yung nephrons, no urine produce. Dapat nali siya yung partners. Pwede ni male and female or more in 1 kidney. This is, gawas na siya, ay i-remove siya, taas kayo. Kani, wala na siya yung lugar sa kidney niya. Ato na siya sa ureter, sa bladder, gawas sa urethra. I'm not sure. Wala ko nagtatanong. So, di ba, ibili na lang niya ang sample sa kidney, ang capsule. That capsule might thin down and burst, so ma-release sila sa peritoneal cavity and be swimming around. Or, nana siya sa urethra, o niya, nagkuba ang urethra, nana siya sa inguinal area. Swimming na lang. Honorable mention, Placentonema gigantissima. Balikta. Ang longest nematode found in both humans and animals is si Dracunculus. Ang largest nematode in domestic animals is Dioctophyma. The largest nematode in the entire animal kingdom is Placentonema gigantissima. The largest parasitic nematode in the animal kingdom. It makes sense because sperm whale itawag ng ihang. 28 feet ang isa ka individual. Next, phylum, Acanthocephala. Okay, nakita ninyo sa lab. Our best example for this is the very long one, Macrocatholicus rudinaceus. So your Acanthocephalans is a small group of pure obligate parasites, obligate. And they are all dioecious. They are called Acanthocephalans because of having proboscis with thorns, with a row of thorns, but they do not have a digestive tract, so no mouth. They are like your tapeworms. They even look like tapeworms because of their wrinkled body. So, katong i-mention ako sa lab na if you remove it and place it on a dry area, they flatten. And because of the wrinkles, they will look like nashay segments. So, they can be mistaken as tapeworms because ang tapeworms na rostellum with hooks. They look like they have a rostellum with hooks, but they don't have the suckers. If you put that specimen on water, mo kambok siya, mo cylindrical, so now you know it's not a tapeworm. Okay, these are heteroxylus requiring an arthropod IH. Majority of acanthocephalan species are found in aquatic animals. So, their IH would be a copepod or any small crustacean. Pero if terrestrial siya na species, ang ilang arthropod IH would be beetles, any terrestrial insect. So these are characteristics, separate ang ilang female, no alimentary canal. I'll just go through it quickly. This is the life stages, so the egg is spindle-shaped, with many layers ang shells, and it contains a larva known as the acanthor. By the way, the reason daw spindle-shaped siya is, remember, majority of the acanthocephalans are aquatic, found in aquatic animals. The eggs will look like a type of plankton. So, kung mo siya plankton, makaon din siya sa crustacean na IH. Pero even in terrestrial species, same ang appearance sa egg. So, the egg will contain the acanthor. If this is ingested by the arthropod IH, it becomes an acanthella inside it, and later it will insist into your cystacan. If the cystacan, the IH is ingested by another animal that is not the definitive host, mapasa lang si cystacan sa paratenic host. And if something were to eat the paratenic host, as long as dili siyang DH, mapasa yan ang cystacan. Okay. This is your Macracanthorinchus hirudinensis. Macracanthor. I-change na ang spelling. Macra na siya, dili macro. Macracanthor. Macracanthorinchus hirudinensis. The thorny-headed worm of pigs. Found in wild boar or any pig. Coprophagus beetles are the IH. Small intestine. Okay. So, sa ito ang specimen, red ng color. Medyo luto na ito siya sa formalin. And red na yung color. But when they are fresh, there are cream-colored beetles. Dung beetles. Metals. Life cycle. See, the pig is the host, shedding feces, eaten by a beetle, whether it's the grub, ang maggot, or ang beetle, the adult beetle itself, becomes an acanthella and a cystacan inside the beetle. Beetle is ingested by your pigs, particularly pigs. Sometimes, makaon ng why would a human eat a dung beetle? I do not understand. I do not know why, pero na ay human cases. Ha? Ano man? Grubs? Ay, oo, naman na yung mukha ng grubs. Makaon na na yung grubs niya. Pero wala lang yung problema, basta iluto lang mo. Pero naman yung mukha ng slide ka ng dilikit siya ka ng talong. Makaon ng grubs. Ha? Isuka lang? Pero, taas mo check proteins, di ba? Yung protein levels. Survival na lang. Okay. So, guys, if you're looking for Macracanthorinchus and mag-necropsy mo, you might notice that the thorny head is not visible because they actually insert it into the mucosa. So they can form a granuloma here, small nodular granuloma. It's also the reason why it's very difficult to remove them. Kaya pag ibiralin nyo, the thorns are, paano biya? Maipit ang thorns dili. If you extract them or if they remove on their own, they can form an ulcer. Only nodules mo yung ulcer. And sometimes manobra na sila. If they burrow their proboscis really deep into the mucosa, they can actually cause a large hole through the wall of the intestine. So the contents of the intestine will go out into the peritoneum, causing peritonitis. By the way, there's another species of Macracanthorinchus. I forgot lang sa species niya, but starts with I. Kung na-search. I? Basta I siya, indicus, or I don't know. Basta I ang spelling. It's very short lang. It's host, cute niya kay dogs. dogs, any canine. I forgot to include it. Nakalimutan sa species. Kamu na search, Ana. Macrocanthorinchus and I, ang ihang species. It's in dogs in the western areas. Wala siya dire. Ingins? I-N-G. Macrocanthorinchus ingens. Okay. Dogs siya, no? Canines? Any wildlife, so mga canids, skunks, kana sila. So basta ano. Pero wala na siya diri. Wala na diri. Sa western areas na siya. This is a honorable mention na itong i-discuss history ng isa lab wherein it was not supposed to be found in the Philippines pero naan na siya. Ano yun? Lagi na siya. So, Meteoricus gallinarum is a thorny-headed worm of chickens. The only reported case of it in the Philippines, when I say reported, nakapublish na. It was 19-something pa. So, bugay na yun. It's the most recent papers about it is naa sa Papua New Guinea, sa Indonesia. But they said it is relatively uncommon but found in small populations in other Southeast Asian countries. Pero siya nag-specify yung Philippines. Sa ngalan lang na Southeast Asia naata diri. But there's no published article that states of its prevalence. Pero I guess naalagin din siya because of importation of birds. Naalagin siya. So, this is just one species, the Meteoricus gallinarum. There's another one, Gigantorhynchus, which is found in Africa. It's also found in birds. Gigantorhynchus. Nagit sila yung rhynchus sa ilangan. So, credits na ako kay the clinician, si Larry ug si Arisgado. Sila man napakitaan during their necropsy. During systemic pathology nila, nag-necropsy sila, na sila nakitaan, idala sa APOA because they have to make a necropsy report, so they have to identify the worm. Doc Carl said, it looks like a tapeworm, ipa-confirm lang. Check na mo, di siya tapeworm. So, that's the reason why they are commonly mistaken for tapeworms. Kamu na paglalagay na anong Number 4. Kapit na guys! Extent na naman nangita pa ba para sa ito. Number 4, the following are heteroxylous except nag-include ko diri yung kanang mga nga topics from past topics. Nag-include ko X from past topics. The following are heteroxylous except, so, monoxylous ang iyong makita. No IH. The hint is dual answers. Ano na kong hint? There's 2 answers. Ha? Hindi, dapat 2. Dapat sakto ang 2. Extend. Go. There you go. 30 seconds. Number 5, I think next week. Last, because of the general appearance of macro handling considerations, what type of helmet? 30 seconds ulit. Dali, ready? Balik na tutuloy ni